Hello everyone, I'm Meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for your 1 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Now we've got news out of Beaufort County where the death involving a 13-year-old boy and a jet ski, the investigation into that death continues. Now Jack O'Neill would have turned 14 years old next week. He was a passenger on a jet ski that was involved in a collision with a pontoon boat in Beaufort County. The 13-year-old attended P.S. Jones Middle School, and his obituary says, quote, "He lived each day with purpose and compassion," end quote. Now, a community memorial service for the teen will be held at Washington High School Auditorium on Wednesday at 5 p.m. The accident happened around 4:30 p.m. on Friday on the Pamlico River, just off of Mimosa Shores. Oscar Woolard was operating a 25-foot boat that hit the jet ski with O'Neill and another teenager on board. The 14-year-old who was operating the watercraft had minor injuries, according to the North Carolina Wildlife. Officers say drugs or alcohol were not a factor in the crash. And now we want to turn our attention to the ongoing war in Israel and really Gaza, as Israel launched another attack, this time on a hospital that ended up killing many, including 5 local journalists. NBC's Molly Hunter has more.
Around 10 a.m. this morning, the first of 2 Israeli drone strikes hit the side of Nasser Hospital. And that hospital is the main and the only functioning hospital in the south of the Gaza Strip. And the drone strike hit a staircase on the side of the hospital. This staircase is important because it's where journalists worked. It's where they went to connect to Wi-Fi. As journalists and Palestinian civilians have been evacuated and displaced across the Gaza Strip over the last 22 months, journalists have flocked to hospitals because in many cases there's generators, there's power, there's water, there's Wi-Fi. And we have seen this specific staircase actually on social media a lot over the last 22 months. It is a gathering point for journalists. It is a place known where they would put their phones up into the sky to try to connect to Wi-Fi, to beam those images, to get those stories out of the Gaza Strip, huddled over laptops late at night. Well, minutes after that first strike, as first responders and other journalists were racing to the scene, a second Israeli drone strike hit the exact same spot. Now, the death toll stands right now at least 20 people, including 5 journalists who work for the Associated Press, for Reuters, of course, 2 of the biggest news organizations in the world, as well as Al Jazeera, in addition to 2 freelancers. Their funerals are happening now in Gaza. Now, the Israeli military did put out a statement. They said they were investigating the strikes. They did also confirm that there were Israeli strikes at Nasser Hospital. Molly Hunter, NBC News, Jerusalem.
Thank you very much, Molly, for that report. We now turn to your weather forecast, and today it's going to be kind of the lone hot day of this week. Now, air temperatures right now moving into the mid to upper 80s, not quite to that 90-degree point yet, but a few of us will get there. However, cloud cover may be a bit of an obstacle that our heat is going to have to overcome if it wants to reach that 90-degree mark. Right now, this is a view through our Belhaven cam. Clouds over the Pungo River looking a little bit thicker than they did earlier this morning. Right now, air temperatures generally in the mid to upper 80s. We do have Swan Quarter currently coming in at 91 degrees. We've got 90 in Jacksonville, 88 through Kenansville, Kinston, as well as Greenville, 87 showing up in New Bern, as well as Edenton and Williamston. Overall, a pretty comfortable day, near our average. Now, humidity is actually starting to fall. This was a process that we anticipated would come more so overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, but Williamston has seen its dew points drop about 4 degrees over the past 2 hours. Now, again, that's not all that impressive just from a amount standpoint. 4 degrees is just 4 degrees, but over the next several hours, but over the next several days, these northwesterly winds are going to do an immense job of pushing out quite a bit of that heat and humidity that is just synonymous with eastern North Carolina summers. This is a sign we are getting closer to fall. Now, again, I do want to hesitate before I say, all right, this is fall starting, because as we know here in eastern North Carolina, we get a few fake outs, if you will, or fraudulent falls that will get everybody in the mood early, and then we revert back to summer a week later. Now, I do want to highlight that some of the rain showers that we knew were going to start to form up today are doing just that as we speak, particularly around the Pungo River, extending all the way over towards Stumpy Point. Hyde County, again, the recipient of most of those rain showers, Hyde County and even Dare County. But for the meantime, the rest of eastern North Carolina is still dry. We are anticipating a little bit more rain near the Crystal Coast coming up this afternoon. As far as what we are looking at later on tonight, a lot of those showers will be pulling away from the coast as we head towards sunrise tomorrow. Now, that's going to open the door for maybe a little bit more cloudiness to start the day than what we had earlier today, but there will be sunshine tomorrow, and it will be enough to really take our air temperatures back at least into the mid-80s. But that cooler air out of the northwest, that's going to do us some serious favors. Let's get into your big picture look, zooming it out a little bit further, and you can see we've got an area of high pressure off to our northwest, that area of low pressure off to the west. That's going to fade before it reaches us. Now, we'll see another area of low pressure form off the South Carolina coastline there, and that's going to help drag a lot of that moisture out away from eastern North Carolina. And by moisture, we're talking about humidity, the moisture in the air. This week, we don't really have a great opportunity for rain. Yeah, each day has about a 20% chance of rain tacked onto it, but that area of low pressure, as that pulls away from the coast, that is going to do a great job of drawing out all of the humid air left over in eastern North Carolina and really drawing in that air from the Great Lakes that is noticeably drier. And that is going to make it feel like September is already here. Now, granted, it's right around the corner. We've got Labor Day coming up next Monday. But even then, it's one of those, whenever we get the dry air and the low humidity, it brings smiles to many faces in eastern North Carolina, including mine. I don't know if you guys can hear, but I am smiling right now just looking at this humidity tracker. Yeah, it does show a little bit of a comeback attempt, if you will, for those of you watching along the coast with that humidity later on in the week. But even then, I don't think it's going to be that extensive, not quite as extensive as what this model is indicating. Now we got to talk about the tropics. Tropical storm Fernand, now still a tropical storm, maximum sustained winds at 60 miles an hour, gusts up to 70 miles an hour, moving northeast at 13 miles an hour. And this is a system, again, that's progressing its way out into the northern Atlantic. So not really a concern for us moving forward. And then the other area of concern in the eastern Caribbean, right now, the National Hurricane Center not really giving it much of a shot of tropical development, either over a 48-hour stretch or a 7-day stretch. Big flat zeros on both of those. So good news there. Here's a look at your full 8-day forecast. 90 today, 83 tomorrow, 80 degrees on Wednesday. That means most of the day on Wednesday, we're actually going to be in the 70s. Couple that with low humidity, overnight lows 60 degrees Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, 58 degrees Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Means that, again, it's going to be feeling fantastic across all of eastern North Carolina, really across the state. Of course, we've got Pirate football coming up on Thursday, kicking off against NC State. Hopefully the Pirates can pull out a W. 82 degrees on Thursday, 81 Friday, 82 Saturday, 81 Sunday, and then we've got 83 degrees coming up on Labor Day. Now, our rain chances will get a little bit higher there for Sunday and Monday of the following week, and really the upcoming month, but certainly not enough to really force anyone to change any plans, at least at this point in the game. We'll see if everything changes here over the next few days with Labor Day weekend heading our direction. But for right now, things look pretty straightforward, comfortable, mild, and again, low humidity and dry. That is the key. Now, that's all we have time for today's 1 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back with more news and weather coming up at the top of the hour. Until then, have a wonderful Monday.
This hour of the WITN First Alert Desk is sponsored by Supreme Choice.